How many times in your organization have you had a culture day where you've sat around a table and you've talked about your values and you write them down and you plaster them all over the walls of your organization and you feel really good about it? And then what happens to those values? There's no connection to practice. There's no connection to daily life. And so what happens in organizations is people look at the values and they look at what's actually going on in the organization and they see this huge gap. And what it does is create cynicism inside the workplace. What people fail to do is to take those values and define them in ways that are operationalized in the workplace. So here's a test. Take a look at the values that are plastered on your wall and first ask yourself, when's the last time I even looked at these and even thought about them? And second of all, ask yourself, have we defined the concrete ways that this value connects to the workplace? So let me give you an example. Most workplaces have the value of respect. How is that operationalized in the workforce? What does that mean to everyday life? So if you have a value of respect, and then every time you go and say something to the CEO, every time you go to say something to your boss is looking down at the iPhone, paying attention to that more than paying attention to you, looking around the room while you're engaged with that person. That's a classic example of values that say one thing and workplace practices that say something vastly different. Did you know that you can reduce the cost of employee disengagement and turnover by hiring primarily for culture rather than for job skills? So here are 3 action items to help you align values and practice. First, determine your ideal workplace culture using our culture tool. This will help you outline the values you need to achieve your mission and vision. Second, define the practical expectations of living those values in the workplace so that your supervisors and employees know what right looks like. And third, hire qualified people who work according to your values so that your culture stays intact. It's much easier to train job skills than to change a person's workplace habits.
Working with Chris on developing the culture of the organization was eye-opening. If you need help with your company culture, one of the things that Chris can do for you is really bridge those gaps between different variables, different groups. He was able to come in and bring all these different diverse groups to the table and really kind of work with them to get them under the understanding for the association itself and understand that this is a team effort. So it wasn't just he was one dynamic and one competency that he's working for. He was able to bridge those gaps and bring everyone around the table at once.